Okay, it looks like we are live on air. Always hard to be sure. And I didn't send any advance warning about this one, so it might take a minute or two for the viewers to appear. So if you're watching this back, this is our special time, just you and me. No one's seeing this live. I'm just sharing some special time with you because you deserve it. And you know, don't we all deserve something special from time to time? I am just going to get set up so that I am ready for everything. Got the chat pop head out because that's how we do it in Angry World. Some people think it don't be that way, but it do. Hello, Miss Foxification. Nice to see you. And hiya, Luke. Yeah, most of the East Coast is very hot, 35 plus. It's going to be warm again in Melbourne tomorrow, but not as warm. But apparently Sydney, so New South Wales and Queensland get like heat wave stuff all through the weekend. Last I read, anyway. Hello, CrossFitter and Megaleech and Charlie. Where is everyone, Charlie? That is a big question. I assume taking their own sweet time because I didn't do the send a notification thingy, or I didn't get face anything. Beard always curls off to the side. It's very unruly. That's why I tend to keep it shortish, because the longer it gets, is the more unruly and uneven. But like, it's actually, you know, I do a trim and it's even, but it curls and acts weirdly. Yes, Luke, I did post a little message on Facebook and Twitter, but I didn't do the YouTube notify, although the notification would have gone out now. Yes, Miss Foxification, first day over 30 since last summer. It begins what is likely to be a really shitty, long, hot summer. Probably with bushfire season from hell, I would imagine. There's already been, like a month or two ago, there were severe bushfires in New South Wales. By February, we're going to be so fucked. We're going to be in so much trouble. Yes, Megaleech, I didn't do the schedule thingy. I just did it just before I came on, which is foolish of me because doing the schedule thing does tend to actually get the message out to people that I'm doing it. Foolish of me to forget to do it tonight. But you know, life is like that. Sometimes I'm foolish. I'm just looking at something on my computer. There you go. Thank you, computer, for slowly doing the thing I wanted you to do. Yes, you're right, CrossFitter. Certainly down here in Victoria, it's gone from some quite cold weather to really quite hot weather in 2 weeks. There was very little transition. We, admittedly, over the last month or so, we've had a couple of, for me, near perfect days. There's been, it's been sunny without being burny instantly. It's been, you know, low to mid 20s, beautiful blue sky. For me, that's like a perfect day. I don't like it. Once the temperature starts going above 25, I feel like it's too hot. And below 20, it's not warm enough. So yeah. Yes, Megaleech. Absurdly hot summers are our new normal. Looking forward to record temperatures being set every fucking year for the rest of however many years humanity's got left. Luke, what's on my t-shirt? It's a Doctor Who thing. Obviously, there's a TARDIS. Mash up. What the hell is on my shirt? There's a stain on it. Mash up with the Beatles, Abbey Road. Like, that's David Tennant's silhouette, and that's Sylvester McCoy. I think that's meant to be Doctor One. and that's Tom Baker. So I think that's meant to be William Hartnell. But yes. This Foxification, you're in VR. Ah, you were playing some, were you VR games or watching VR videos? Fortuitous timing for you to have a break just when we're starting the live stream. I hope it's fortuitous for you, huh? But yes, yes, I got this topic, like we're a month away from the official start of summer, and we're already sort of, oh, it's going to be so fucking hot. Is that conversation going to get old? I don't know, because I think it's going to be quite the stinker of the summer. And I'm sure the climate change deniers will have an explanation when we set yet more records. I mean, like, what is it? 9 of the 10 hottest years globally. That doesn't mean in every place on the globe. That means sort of taking it as an average. Globally, 9 of the 10 hottest years on record have happened in the last 2 decades. And yeah, I just fear that that will soon be surpassed, that every single year new records will be set. And so you'll always be saying, the last 10 years is the hottest 10 years on record, because one fears that's never going to stop and it's only going to keep getting worse. Ah, Miss Foxification, you were in Altspace VR, a sort of social shared gaming app. That sounds interesting. I have not done much VR. I've done a little bit, like as in playing games in a center where you have the headset on and the little things in your hand, is fun. And of course, I immediately went and found the zombie games, and it's fun, like, because you complete chaos, and it's always really dark in the games, and monsters come in and go, kill, die, die, die. For me, it wasn't so much that, oh, I thought the VR was the real world. No, that's not going to happen. But I wasn't even in it for that long, like only about, I don't know, 10 or maybe 15 minutes. When I took it off, it just took a little while to readjust to the real world, like just looking around going, okay, this is real. This is what real things look like. This is how I interact with the real world. It's like I wasn't lost in cyberspace, but it was just a little bit odd. Like the real world didn't seem completely normal. And I had this little period, like, I don't know whether it's, a few seconds to a minute, a little period of readjustment to, okay, this is what the world actually like. So yeah, we're talking about, oh yes, climate change. And I was saying it's a natural cycle. The earth warms, the earth cools. It's just like, I struggle so hard with climate change deniers that literally every scientist who knows what they're talking about says this is real. Human activity in the last century caused it. And the chances of us avoiding catastrophic outcomes are vanishingly small, because the ongoing effects are going to continue for centuries. Like, even if we were able to stop things from getting worse now, which we can't, short of the complete overthrow of capitalism and strict control of what's produced and what energy is used and da da da. In other words, not going to happen, because that's the sort of thing that starts wars. So even if we were able to achieve the impossible and like stop the temperature rise being more than 2 degrees, that would just slow down the catastrophic effects. Like the realistic projections for centuries in the future are absolutely unavoidable catastrophic flooding and severe weather. So, you know, hey, humans, you had a good run. Hey, musical aviator. I sent Miss Fox, can you get your VR legs after a few days? My God, you're in it for 5 hours straight. That's where it starts to get surreal, I think. If you even extended gaming sessions, like on a TV screen, do my head in. A 5-hour VR session would really mess with me, I'm quite sure. So, look, you can't wear VR. You tried once and nearly fell over. It's not for everyone. And hello, Catherine. How are you? We're just started off on a cheery note, talking about the inevitable demise of human civilization because of the unstoppable rise of climate change. Yay! Yes. It's yeah. I mean, what's the most charitable thing you can say about climate change deniers? Because I think particularly the loudest voices in the public arena, the politicians, the corporate interests, I think they know they're lying, but their ideology trumps everything, and profit trumps everything. There is no other goal but profit, and continued existence of humanity is too abstract for them. Profit this year is literally all they can focus on. And so, yeah, I just think they're like fucking evil. I get one aspect of people arcing up against the instructions of how to lessen the effects of climate change, because it sounds like fucking hippies, right? And it sounds like really boring hippies who want to tell you what to do and want to control your life and never want you to have any fun. And it is unfortunate. Like, you get those people who say the climate change science isn't science, it's politics. It's not. Climate change denial is politics. It's ideology in the face of reality. It's ideology trumping reality at every turn. But you can't mistake it that the science of climate change says, you look at, in terms of trying to mitigate it, it's do all this hippie shit. You know, you switch to renewable energy, use less, recycle, all these things. It sounds like hippie bullshit. And it, on the one level, I guess it's, again, for conservative-minded people, it's quite unfortunate that the science that says this is the only hope of preserving human civilization sounds exactly the same as boring hippies who never want you to have any fun. And I get reacting against that, but at some point, you have to grow the fuck up and realize how fucking serious this is. And you need to recognize that you're just spouting ideology and you are rejecting reams and reams and reams of scientific research and evidence. You just have to get over yourself, basically. And Jessica, yes, it's bloody hot. This is basically the topic of our conversation so far. Luke, it's true what you say. As the temperatures go up, deaths from heat stroke will increase. Interestingly, now, all around the world, many more people die because of cold in winter than they do because of heat in summer. A lot of people die because of heat in summer, but more people die because of cold in winter. And it's usually old people. It's basically people who can't afford to run heating. It's either people in very poor areas where they don't have heating, or old people who feel like they can't afford to run the heating, and they do freeze to death. And it is true that in the world today, more people die from cold in winter than die from heat in summer. But with the inexorable trajectory of climate change, that will flip, and it will flip in a way that isn't reversible. I mean, you could, particularly in developed countries, in urban centers, you could, if you had the political will, you could vastly reduce that, basically by protecting vulnerable people and making sure vulnerable people got heating even if they couldn't afford commercial rates. When climate change starts to spiral out of control, the electricity grids will not be able to maintain air conditioning needs. Even if you gave everyone an air conditioner, the electricity grid wouldn't be able to keep up with demand. So we will reach the point where many more people will die of heat. And this is just such a cheery conversation. Yes, musical aviator, Queensland will be even more like hell than it already is. You are right, Megali. Down in Tasmania, much cooler and will be much less adversely affected by climate change. I think New Zealand, having had a holiday there, New Zealand is the place to escape to, because you've got the really variable stuff, like from the coast up to high mountains. So if temperatures did get unbearably hot, you sort of retreat up to the high mountains where it's cooler. And there is a water supply as well because of all the snow and glaciers up there. I think there's probably hundreds of years of water supply in the snow on the mountains in New Zealand. That's just my thing. New Zealand, that's where you wait out the apocalypse. Where's my mouse? I think I missed something. Hey, sorry, and hello, Aussie Gumbunny. Ooh, you're doing NaNoWriMo and already 600 words deep into the novel. Nice. Oh, so that's what you said, Lion Spider, no more Catalan. Oh yeah, the north of Queensland is fucked. The inland of Queensland is fucked. Inland New South Wales is fucked. There's desert areas in Victoria too. But then, of course, the coastal areas are all going to get flooded. I know you do get these people who have such faith in capitalism and the ingenuity of man. It is completely accurate to say current technology available to humans is absolutely incapable of reversing climate change. It is not possible. We have nothing. There's not even like any nascent technology that you could throw trillions of dollars at that would reverse. It doesn't exist. We do not have any technology at all that can reverse climate change. Now, this is one of these very pro-capitalist people who refuse to go along with cutting down on use of dirty power generation, and think that we don't have to worry, because humans always find a solution. It's like, that's a terrible survival plan. We'll come up with something. And let's get real. Nobody's going to make a serious effort until the catastrophic effects of climate change really kick in. And that means a lot of low-lying island nations, a lot of the poorest areas of the world being inundated, and probably millions upon millions of deaths from flooding and then starvation. And then you'll have millions upon millions of refugees swarming everywhere. All the fucking xenophobes who think they're being swamped by refugees now, wait 50 years when climate refugees really will be swarming across borders. It really is about, you know, like existential survival of human civilization. It is an interesting line, Spidey, you say that all the sort of beachfront suburbs are much more expensive. See, the smart money is buy a house about 3 suburbs in from the coast, because in 100 years, that's waterfront property. Everything else is going to be underwater. Yes. I was going about clips or things. I don't know if they're clips or that's an LED work light I got from Bunnings. Hey, nobody, how's it going? Yeah, Jessica, as you say, it won't be enough. Look, I don't think, I just look at the world and I look at people, and I don't think anything approaching a serious effort to deal with climate change will happen until it's far too late. Look, the depressing thing is it's probably too late now. But by far too late, I mean where the temperature and weather has spiraled out of control, millions upon millions dead, probably hundreds of millions at least hundreds of millions of climate refugees just swarming everywhere, and just overwhelming countries that haven't been as hard hit. So those countries will collapse as well. It's gonna be a shit show. Hey, Bjori, you really feel the need to change the topic, but it's, yeah, it's just like it's hot weather, so yeah, this is normal now. January weather in November, nice. Trying to here I am now. I'm going to try and think of something brighter, and I can't really. So what's fun? Who's playing Red Dead Redemption 2? Not me, but I see a lot of people are, and it does look like a pretty wild game. Just the sheer scale of it is astonishing to me. I got motivated because it's out. I got a couple games I haven't played, and I was really tempted to just go out and get Red Dead Redemption 2. But I thought, no, play the ones you've got. And I've been in a weird mood lately, where I didn't want to play games because I felt like it was wasting time, and I should do something more productive. I should do my YouTube stuff or something else, something around the house. But I started, I re-picked up Mafia 3. I'd only done a very little bit at the start of it, and now I'm playing it again properly. It's lots of fun. So you've been watching live streams of Red Dead. I haven't been going that far, but I've seen just a couple little clips people have posted of quite absurdly funny moments. The two funniest ones I've seen is, you know, the cowboys riding along, and there's an NPC by the side of the road, female, going like, "Oh, could you help me? My horse has run off." And you're having a conversation, and because there's wildlife in this, you can go hunting and whatnot. And this is in a very wooded area. And while this woman is talking, which is obviously an interaction that's meant to happen in the game, it's a programmed interaction, a deer comes barreling in from the side, just gallops through and tramples this woman mid-sentence. And it looks like it killed her. And it's like, that was super surreal. That's a real AI thing. Like a programmed interaction being wiped out by a randomized interaction, like a deer just running through. That was wild. The other funny one I saw was the cowboys holding someone at gunpoint and threatening them, and the person's begging for their life, and the cowboy to I don't know, scare them or threaten them or whatnot, fires his gun into the sky, fires it straight up, and then 3 seconds later, a bird falls out of the sky. So the person, the cowboy, had not aimed at anything, had just, to scare the person, pointed the gun up and fired. And yeah, in a 1,000,000 to 1 chance, it shot a bird that was flying past that just landed. So there's a lot going on in that game. Oh my God, Charlie, I did see that new mobile Fallout game, Fallout 76. There was a bug in it so bad that it wiped out the whole game. That is a programming fuck up right there. That's pretty spiff. Oh yeah, look, the horse balls. That was one of the things they talked up just prior to release, that they'd gone to the trouble, because you can go to quite different climates. It's a very big world. You can be in a snowy area, and they said, no, your horse's balls will shrink in the cold. That's good to know. Nobody, what did you do that was productive? Your car's engine mount broke, and you rebuilt them with a $13 tube of polyurethane sealant. Wow, I like improvisation. That's good. And you think your $13 sealant solution is stronger than the $300 replacement part. Well, that's a win for ingenuity right there. That's a big plus. Bury, what's baggerers? Oh yes. Oh yeah. That was the funny. I think we might have even talked about this in the previous live stream. As all the hype was building up in the weeks leading up to the release of Red Dead Redemption 2, the bosses at the company said, "Oh yeah, we've had developers doing 100-hour weeks in the lead up to it." Like they just thought, yeah, such gung-ho hardware. And I think they were somewhat surprised at the backlash on that, of them just saying, you can't fucking do that to people. That's cruel and unusual. That is grossly unfair to have people working 100-hour weeks. To which I'm sure they go like, oh, but they wanted to. It's like, yeah, like you really keep your job if you go, I'm not doing that. Fuck you. That is very cruel mistreatment of your staff. And this is the thing, because they have this in developer world. It's dominated by young males who don't have a fucking life. They don't have a partner. They don't have a family, and so they can do this. And that sort of work will burn you out completely within like 5 years at most, probably much sooner. But there's an endless supply of these mainly male programmers, because they keep coming out of universities and whatnot. And they keep like, yeah, I'll work 100-hour week to work for my favorite gaming company. And the company grinds them into the dust and does not give a shit when if the person's health collapses. They just don't fucking care. Like every time I hear people go, oh, I had to do this for work, and answering emails at 2 a.m, I'm just like, fuck that. They don't give a shit about you. You could drop dead and they'd replace you in a week, okay? You doing above and beyond extra for the company, they don't fucking care. They don't remember it. They don't reward it. They don't care about you. And you're a fucking idiot if you think the companies care about you, because they don't. So as a company, yeah, Rockstar treat stuff like shit. Miss Foxification, I know they backtracked the 100 hours thing, and that's because of the backlash. Like they would, that was like, you know, big swinging dick talk. They're like, yeah, working 100-hour weeks. And they just thought everyone would think that was super cool. And they were absolutely not prepared for the backlash of people going, that's just fucking evil. You cannot do that to people. That is wrong. And yeah, so I'm not even slightly surprised that they've backtracked on it and go, oh, that didn't really happen. Which, you know, then that just says to you, well, they're liars. You can choose whether you think they were lying when they said they had people working 100-hour weeks, or they're lying when they say they don't have people working 100-hour weeks. They're clearly lying pieces of shit, basically. And yes, they've got a long track record. And it's not just Rockstar, and it's not just games developers, because I've worked in IT for 20 fucking years, and there are so many places that I can grind people into the dirt. I just refuse to do it. Like, it's only ever really come up once in a job interview. I won't say it was weird, but there was a job interview, and they started talking about, oh, you know, you have to be really put in. We put in really long hours here, and I was like, really? And they were basically suggesting, you know, 50, 60-hour work week was normal, and I went, look, okay. When you're working on a project, when it's at a critical point, when you're at crunch time, if it's necessary, you put in extra. Everyone puts in extra, whether it's staying later or coming in on a weekend to hit a milestone. People do that, but you can't do it every day. It can't be the normal way you work, because you can't keep that up. And you need, if you're really doing this, you need to look at the studies that show how much people's productivity drops off after 7 to 8 hours. And that's just in one day. And if you do it every day, if you're doing 10 to 12 hours every day, it becomes a vicious cycle, because you get so run down and your productivity suffers so much. It gets to the point where in a 12-hour day, you're only getting as much done as you would in 4 hours if you were properly rested. And people flog themselves to death with this idea that staying long is good. It isn't. It really isn't. It's not sustainable, and it's not productive. And I just straight up said this in the interview. You can't do that. It's really bad. And I didn't get that job. And the agency said, oh yeah, they said you had all the right experience, but you didn't want to work long hours. And I went, yeah, fucking oath I don't. And if their measurement for a valued employee is someone who wants to run themselves into the ground to the point where they can't even function, I'm not their valued employee. Fuck those people. Oh my God, Aussie Gun Bunny, you work overnight shifts, 10 hours. Dude, that is really bad for your health. I am just going to say it now. I don't control your life. I don't tell you what to do, but overnight 10-hour shifts for a 50-hour week is very bad for your health. And I don't reckon you're at fault there. I reckon your employer probably is. Oh, Jesus. See, Line Spotter, that's worse. You're saying you work 10-hour shifts at a cannery as a machine operator. That's worse, because with heavy machinery, something really bad's going to happen. My God. And that's a good point, Miss Foxification. When you, in what you say, working in IT, sometimes you think, I've got to stay here until I solve this. And you stay at work for hours and hours and don't solve it. And then you finally go home. And when you come in the next day, you work out the solution in the first hour because you're fresh. It's ridiculous. Aussie company, you get paid buku dollars to do it. Dude, I hope you're putting away bank, and when the time comes, you can just take some time to look after yourself, because, I mean, I shit you not, that is really bad for your health. That is universal medical opinion that is bad for your health. Oh, look, did I get trick-or-treaters for Halloween? Yes, I did. More than I expected. Got well into the backup treats for the kiddies that were coming around. They all came around before dark. You know, we had the first wave of premium treats, and they started to run out. So then I was going into the pantry and going, oh my God, what do I got? Oh, I'm going to get this stuff I bought from the supermarket. It's the backup treats, and God, they almost ran out as well. There was, if I had to guess, I don't know, 30 or 40 kids, probably something like that. And we were not home when they first started. So if we had been home and had things set up an hour earlier, I think we would have got many more kids. So, but we were not home, then we got home and set up stuff to say, yes, we're giving stuff to trick-or-treaters, and then they came in. And like I said, that was like 30 or 40 kids at least. And I think there would have been more after. Nobody recognized me. Oh, I got lines by the doctors, medical staff in particular. Yes, you always get stories about medical staff working long shifts because they're so dedicated. And yeah, great, but people's lives are in your hands. And again, every study shows for critical decision making, your abilities to make good decisions start to deteriorate after 6 or 7 hours. So you get this stuff with medical staff, you know, working ridiculously long shifts and just having nap breaks and whatnot. They're actually endangering people's lives. Now, their motivation is they just want to be there and help people. But yeah, that actually endangers people's lives. Jessica, I like Halloween too. I get when people go like, oh, Halloween commercial, American. Just let people have fun, for fuck's sake. Honestly. I mean, you know, and I'm the angry guy, and I just want people to have fun. But yeah. So nobody, a waste of food can buy your house, help themselves to stuff in your car. Oh, good. Yeah, I've had my car broken into a couple of times. That's really shit. Oh, that's a fun statistic, Miss Foxification. Medical errors are the third leading cause of death in the US. Yeah, well, the US medical system is completely fucked. Oh my God, which is that line, Spider? 2 years ago for Halloween, you were sat outside dressed as your Charlene character in a princess dress and a blonde wig. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. Do you know what happened? People asking if I dressed up. I didn't. Oh, we did have a mask. Young Mr. Angry made this thing for his last day of school, the paper mache head. It was like a default Me head. Who remembers them from the Nintendo Wii, the online thing where you made a little avatar called a Me, M-I-I? He made like a default Me head, and it looks suitably creepy when you put it on. It's just out there. I might go and get it. I think it's just out there. Yeah, I would put the head on every time someone. I just forgot. I blithely said I didn't dress up, and I kind of did. I put this head on every time I opened the door, and it did make a couple of the trick-or-treaters go because they weren't expecting it, and it's a little bit disconcerting, this mask. But what happened last year is I didn't get changed coming home from work, and I was wearing my office clothes, which is like, so a white business shirt, and suspenders, braces, whichever is your preferred nomenclature for it. And more than a couple kids asked me who was I dressed up as, because they thought I was dressed up, and it was like, this is just what I wear at work, okay? This is me. And they're like, oh, okay. They've never seen anyone wearing suspenders, apparently. Oh, Catherine, you went as Missy. Nice. Do I still have the head? Okay, everyone wants me to get there. I think it's just out there. Let me quickly look. Ooh, out of focus. Let me quickly look. I should have thought of it sooner and actually just had it here handy. It's here. Yeah, well, you know, there's saying I should have said I was an accountant. When they said, what are you dressed up as? I'm dressed up as a successful businessman. So if we do this, there we go. How's that? Is that suitably disturbing? It has just really tiny little eye holes, so I don't actually have binocular vision when I wear it. I can look out of this eye, or I can look out of this eye. But I don't really have binocular vision when I wear this. It's like a mortician for a plane suit. So yeah, I don't know. It's also getting really humid under here with my breath. I should do an Instagram with this thing on, shouldn't I? I kept meaning to. There you go. Hide most of my beard. But yeah, my breath's sort of getting really humid under here, so I don't think I'm gonna keep it on. Oh, I can breathe properly. That's in my hair. Okay. Oh, it's a bit creepy. Yes, it is. So yeah, it like I said, it did make some of the trick-or-treaters do a double take. They apparently were not expecting such a thing to greet them at the door. So that was a little bit of fun. We had all sorts from very little kids, obviously with their parents, through to sort of I think the oldest group, there's this group of about 5 girls together, about sort of mid-teens, 14 or 15. I think they were the oldest ones. Most of the kids were preteen. I think most of them were probably under 10, and they were with parents. And there was one really large group, like a dozen kids in the group, like, you know, there's half a dozen parents herding them along, just a big sort of screaming bunch of costumed little kids. Hey, how's it gone, Bunny? The masks. Every now and then I think of doing something with the masks again. I never do. David, you are not the only one boasting about it not being hot in Tasmania, but it's super hot in Queensland and New South Wales and quite hot in Victoria. And it's hot again tomorrow here, and then it cools down a lot. From what I read the other day, it's staying hot in Brisbane. I'm going to look with, oh wait, no, I've got an app. I can just change what it's saying. Oh, actually, maybe this is only a Victorian thing. Let me see. What's the postcode in Brisbane? I'm looking at Sydney. Oh no, they're getting they're getting 1 extra day of heat. They're 38 tomorrow. We're only about 30 tomorrow, then 31 on Saturday, and then it cools down a bit. Whereas for us, it's 30 tomorrow, then it cools down a lot. It's 4,000 for Brisbane. Okay, let's go 4,000. Brisbane. Oh, okay. So Brisbane's 29 tomorrow, then 33 Saturday, 33 Sunday, 34 Monday, 34 Tuesday, 34. Brisbane's a fucking hellhole. Brisbane is a fucking, Queensland's a fucking hellhole all next week. That's horrific. I mean, we get that here in Melbourne too, but usually in February or maybe January. Fuck. First week of November, absolutely hellish. That is absolutely hellish. That's worse than I thought it was. My God. That is spectacularly bad. That is absolutely awful. My God. Oh yeah, what's Adelaide's postcode? Because Adelaide is often hotter than Melbourne is. $5,000 for Adelaide. So 30 today in Adelaide. Oh, but then it cools down. Yeah, it cools down a lot after today in Adelaide. So Adelaide's actually cooling down faster than Melbourne, and Melbourne's cooling down faster than Sydney, and Brisbane, like Queensland's just not fucking cooling down. It's a fucking hellhole. I like the Aussie gun bunny. Okay, strictly speaking, it's not hell there, but it's close enough to hell that you could hit hell with a rock. Yeah. Man, but that is absolutely nightmarish for the first week in November to be over 30 and approaching 35 every day, every fucking day. And it's just November. Good Lord, that is horrifying. That is absolutely awful. Good God. I don't think aircon's a must in Brisbane. Funny thing is, like, I've had a holiday in Darwin before, which is a fun place for a holiday. I don't think I'd like to live there because the temperature is very stable in Darwin all year. There's not a huge variation like you get in some other places, but the humidity varies radically. Yeah, you basically get the wet and dry season up there. And yeah, I was sort of visiting people. Basically, I had a holiday years ago in Darwin with my then girlfriend who had a sister who lived there. And they were saying how basically in Darwin, it's so humid, for all their clothes and bedding and stuff that you have in cupboards, they have to take it all out at least once a month and sort of hang it up and air it out. It's like, this is stuff that hasn't been worn or used. You have to take it out of cupboards and sort of hang it up and air it out, or it will grow mold because the humidity is that high. Yeah, and it smells like rotting garbage. It's actually vegetation. Darwin's actually quite a clean city, but like most tropical places, it smells like rotting. That's the natural state, constant rotting vegetation. So it smells like a garbage dump. Interestingly, it's like when I was in Manila in the Philippines, that also smells like rotting garbage. But in Manila, it's rotting garbage you can smell. In Darwin, it's naturally rotting vegetation. But yeah, that is the gross thing about the tropics. It smells like rotten garbage because everything is rotting all the time in the humidity. It's gross, basically. Yes. Now we're going to talk about how horrible climate change is again, and how we're all going to die, or our grandchildren are all going to die. It's like one of our recurring topics on here is talking about our favorite science fiction, The Expanse, we've talked about before. I've only seen the first 2 seasons of it. But one of the things I love about the TV show The Expanse is on Earth, the coastal cities have huge seawalls. Like it's in the opening credits, because the Earth stuff is set in New York, and you see a little bit of animation where seawalls got built all around Manhattan Island and whatnot because of the rise. They don't labor it, and they don't do a big thing of drawing your attention to it, but it was a nice little detail of basically saying, oh yeah, catastrophic climate change happened and the flooding happened, and New York's only still there because of billions of dollars spent on seawalls to hold back the rising tides. And it's the almost inevitable future. So, yeah. Ah, Charlie, you're going to Harvey Bay and go swimming. Oh my God. That's the other fun thing about the tropical Northern Australia. You got to wear your tights when you go swimming in the ocean because of the various stinging jellyfish. That's the Japanese name, that one, isn't it? The urakanji. We refer to just box jellyfish. There's another one it's referred to as Portuguese manawa. I think that's the urakanji, actually. But yeah, swimming in the ocean in the tropical north is somewhat unwise because of the stinging jellyfish and the crocodiles and sharks, for that matter. That was the other thing. I remember when I went to Darwin, we happened to be there the 1 month of the year that wasn't high risk for box jellyfish. So just to do it, we went to a beach. It was Darwin Bay. It was the ocean, and we decided we were going to go for a swim because we were told this was the comparatively safe time of the year. So we did it, and it's really weird because the bay is really shallow for ages. Like, we were out 200 meters from the shore, and it was still only waist high, and it was like a warm bath. It was just very still because it was a bay, and you were in the world's biggest warm bath. So it wasn't even refreshing, and it was really arbitrary that we did it. So we did that. But the good swimming up there is you go to some of the places around Kakadu where they have freshwater springs, because it's icy cold. Like, you'd be out and it's like, I don't know, like 30 plus degrees and 90% humidity, and it's awful, and you're sweating like a pig. And you jump into one of these freshwater springs, the water's coming up from the ground, and it's like icy cold. It's so refreshing. It's fantastic. And it's also extremely low risk for saltwater crocodiles because it is freshwater and cold, and the salties like neither of those things. Mind you, the peak of wet season is a big risk because you get all the flooding and they end up everywhere. We were there right at the end of dry season, so that was the least likely time to have a stray saltwater crocodile, which is the dangerous one. So yeah. Oh, nice, Aussie Gun Bunny. You're writing a semi-fictional autobiography about your time doing nightclub security. Ooh, opening with a story of when you watched another guard kill someone with one punch. Ugh. I like that. You're going to have some truth, some complete fiction, and some crossover. I like that. I like that. I wrote a thing years ago, and it was based on the very early days of my life online. Old folk will remember IRC, Internet Relay Chat, a text-only chat service that was very popular in the 90s. Now, someone's going to go off and say it still technically exists now. Technically, it's not the same thing at all. It was the way to communicate. This is pre-social media. This is proto-social media. Randomly text, you'd go into chat rooms and chat with people all around the world. And I wrote a short story about things. There was, as is predictable for anything online, or any group really, online or offline, there was this one guy who was an absolute creeper. So I basically had a fictional character that had all of his behavior, and I showed it to someone and go, well, you can't write that. It's obvious who that is. And he'll get upset. Oh, he'll threaten to sue you. And then he can only, like, I don't use his name. I just use his behaviors. And there's nothing to identify him except for anyone who knows his behavior. And so for him to say, that's me, he has to say, I'm a predatory pedophile. So I thought the risk to me was quite low. Oh my God, Jessica, ASL, yes. Alliance Buddy used to use Delphi's chat rooms. Luke used Yahoo chat room. I don't think I ever got into Yahoo. After IRC, for a while, I was using Microsoft Chat. Microsoft had this really fucking good chat network. And apparently, rumor has it, they shut it down when they found out how disgusting and depraved it was. I mean, that's what I liked about it. I was single at the time, so a disgusting and depraved chat network was exactly the sort of thing I was looking for. And yeah, it did get shut down, and it was MSN chat and Microsoft Network chat. And the rumor was they shut it down when someone pointed out to them how depraved it was. Ooh, Joshua, ICQ, that was another good chat client. For those who don't get the pun for that, it was the letters ICQ, but it was basically, you know, finding friends on chat. I seek you. See, I'm looking for you to chat with. Yes. Ha! Joshua, the alert tone of ICQ is hell on earth. I don't even remember it. I did use it. I don't remember the tones. Powwow chat, I did use at some point. I think, David. Was it Jessica? Used to love saving emoticon and GIF pics on MSN chat. Oh God, the thing I remember about MSN chat, because you'd have themed rooms. It might be around movies, books, sport, or just location. And I was going on a Melbourne themed chat room because, you know, I was trying to pick up, so I wanted to talk to someone local. You didn't have to be from Melbourne to go into chat, but, you know, it was, you know, Melbourne chat room, and go in and meet the regulars. And there was this funny thing that happened at more or less the same time every evening, and this happened in all the Australian themed chat rooms. Probably happened in the American themed chat rooms too, but I didn't go into that. But at more or less the same time every night, this wave of young ladies from Southeast Asian nations would come on, looking for a man. And I don't know, it was quite cute and funny after a while, but because you could do video chat on MSN chat as well. So that's how people, oh, it's probably some fat, sweaty dude in the basement. No, you could do video chat. And so you'd see the people that you were talking to. But it was really funny. At around the same time every night, the young ladies would come on in waves, and they're all in some fucking net cafe in Manila or Singapore or China or somewhere. It was, I found it hilarious, I have to admit. Line Spider, you know, the ancient live chat that was face to face. Yeah, I don't know. I think that one's overrated. It's a little bit overrated. Although I did, when I was single, because I'm useless at social things. Like I literally never in my life have met someone at a pub or a club and picked up. Never, not once ever. Anyone I've ever gotten involved with, it was like when I was at uni, a party, like private party, introduced by friends, or more lately through internet dating. So, but socially, you know, but I did do speed dating once, and I kind of thought it was fun. Like I bombed really badly, but I was just having a laugh going, well, that was pretty good. That was like 6 months of rejection crammed into one evening. Because, you know, I sat down with, I don't know, a dozen to 20 women, because you had to switch every couple of minutes how speed dating works, and went nowhere with anyone. But it's like, yeah, that would take me 6 months to go through that many rejections normally. It was very efficient to do it all in one night. Oh, that's right, Mega Leech. The ICQ tone was that little. Yes, Luke. The poor individuals who go on Omegle. What was the other one? Chat roulette. Chat roulette was dodgy AF. Didn't use either of them. I've never used chat roulette or Omegle. I basically just used read or seen other people's stories, read their stories, or seen videos they saved. I think there's a funny one I've seen these guys do. They go on like shirtless, so they're possibly nude, as a disturbing number of people are on, you know, chat roulette or Omegle, and their hands are down here, and there's this rapid back and forth motion happening. So it looks like, oh yeah, God, I've got another guy wanking. This happens all the time, and they do that for. They go, and there's like they're wiping a dish or they're polishing a shoe, because it's the same motion, and they record the videos. The reactions of people were hilarious. Yeah, they were just people just going, oh God, someone jacking off, and then they show what they're really doing, and everyone would just like laugh. There's a few videos like that on YouTube. Click things. Well, that's the big question, David. How long have you been using the internet? You're since '97. I know it's longer than 97 for me, because my daughter was born in '97. And I met her mum on the internet, and we'd already been together a couple of years before my daughter was born. So that makes it somewhere between 93 and 95 for me. I honestly don't remember. But basically I did, because I had uni friends who were using the internet at university when that was basically the only way to get on the internet. And I did sign up with one of the first commercial ISPs, and they're still around. It was TPG, Total Peripherals Group. They're one of the bigger players now, but they were also one of the first independent commercial ISPs in Australia. So actually, if I looked that up and said, when did TPG start as an ISP? See if that gives me an answer. It says TPG Telecoms founded in 1992. But when did they start as an ISP? Because it stood for Total Peripherals Group. They sold computer peripherals. They existed before they were an ISP. Yeah, they were founded in 1986. No, that's not very useful information. That doesn't tell me anything useful. Oh well. But yes, TPG were my first ISP. That might help track it whenever they started being an ISP. Okay, now we're saying ages. David, you were 31 in. Oh God, we're the same age. I just realised I was also 31 in '97. So yeah. Megalich, you were 16 or 17. Oh dear. Oh, Megalich, you used Talus terminals in school library using MUDs. Yeah. So my first exposure to the internet, let me tell you through. I was 90. My first exposure, as in uni friends explaining the internet to me and showing me some printouts they'd done, was probably early 90s, like 92, 93. So yeah, and then it was a couple of years after. So I reckon 94 or 95. I reckon 94 or 95. Oh, Jessica, you got to go. Your partner Steve's here. Okay, bye. Have fun with Steve. Yeah, I reckon I went on the internet with an ISP in 94 or 95. Probably 94. Charlie's a baby. Yeah, no. Now we just got into the thing where we talk about how old I am. Arg! Arg! No. It feels really humid in here where I am. Apparently it's still nearly 30 outside. So I think it's because I haven't switched on the air conditioning today. I think it's probably a little bit cooler than that. Might actually switch on the aircon before bedtime to make the bedrooms cool and worth sleeping in. Definitely. I think that is a good idea. Now I think, hang on. I'm going to, because I'm going to go to bed as soon as we finish talking, so I'm going to go make a proposal. Hey, I have a suggestion in how warm it is in here and still really warm. Might be worth putting the aircon on in the bedrooms ahead of us going to bed, cool them down, and then we can. So I'm suggesting you do it now. Oh, because I'm in the middle of something. All right. Brief interlude. Well, I got the air conditioning organised. That's a good saying, nobody. I'm too young to feel this old. Ooh, nice. Lion's Buddy had meatballs from sausage meat on spaghetti. I tell you what, this is the thing I do all the time. I often make spaghetti and meatballs, but often what I make the meatballs out of, like, I'm a real sort of, when I'm in the supermarket, I buy stuff that's on special. That's how I decide what the meals for the week are, based on what was on special. And often, like, if they have like rissoles or burgers on special, I'll often get them and chop them into smaller bits, roll them into balls, and then cook them. That's how I make meatballs for spaghetti and meatballs. And that's something I do semi-regularly. So that's my version. I've done it with sausages as well, though. Or do you just mean the sausage? I've done it with actual sausages. You cook them a little bit so they hold their shape, and then chop them up into bits, and then mix them into a spaghetti sauce and have them with spaghetti. I'm an improviser with food. Like, I had some, chicken strips that I cooked. I chopped them up and mixed them with like mac and cheese, and then bake them. Put a bit of bacon on top and bake that in the oven. So it was a sort of chicken Alfredo. It's an improvised chicken Alfredo. Well, very much. It's not just cocktails that I concoct. I'm a bit of an experimenter with food as well. I'm very much a house body. I'm very domestic. Like I see people drinking. You're such a dog. Like I am just a dag and completely uncool and very domestic, and I'm fine with that. And if someone wants to make a thing about it, I think it says more about them than me, quite honestly. I see. So, oh, Lion's Buddy used the sausage meat as like mince. Yeah. As in ground meat, take them out of their plastic case. Yeah, well, I've done both. Yeah, you just used sausage meat. I've also found you can get from some of the supermarkets, they have little things of just the sausage meat, like it's not in the plastic skins. And you get like puff pastry or something, and you add a bit of flavor to the sausage meat, and you can make really yummy homemade sausage rolls. I haven't done that for a while, but yeah, homemade sausage rolls can be really yummy. Hey, speaking of concocting, I've got my book over here. Oh, maybe I should make a cocktail from my Cocktail Chronicles book. Over 200 recipes. This is great. They're just all classified in all the different alcohols. Like, what? I love their little backstories. Like, it's just talking about using ice with your cocktails. What heat is to cooking, ice is to drinking. The instrument through which the fair to middling is transformed into the sublime. There's a mini industry has sprung up around bars and restaurants and their designated ice program. But yeah, I know some bars do a thing where they want absolutely clear ice, and you need special machines to make ice that's completely clear. To make big cubes of absolutely clear ice, you need special machines. Which of course I don't have at home, so just regular ice. This is great. What I love about this is like literally for whatever you want, like a vodka based, whiskey based, fruity ones, gin ones, fancy ones, simple ones. Hey Belinda, how are you? And there's some obscure ones like with alcohol content that I've never heard of. Like I just randomly opened up on the Swizzles. Apparently there's a type of cocktail called Swizzles. And this is a Dolores Park Swizzle. 2 ounces of Rhum Agricole Blanc. Don't even know what that is. Sounds like a variant of rum, really. 1 ounce lime juice, ½ an ounce cane syrup, 1/4 ounce maraschino liqueur, a tablespoon of absinthe. So I'm sure they'll explain. They always explain. There's a little explanation. I think Swizzle is the most onomatopoeic of drinks. Complicated Swizzle's not you. Swizzle's a descendant of Caribbean-style drink in which rum, yes, is mixed with sugar, syrup, citrus, and a lot of crushed ice. Apparently, is a big thing. Okay. So yeah, I thought that Rhum Agricole, it's a white rum. Or the other one, Queen's Park Swizzle, is Demerara rum with lime juice, simple syrup, mint leaves, and bitters. There you go. All these rum ones, like an old Cuban, 1.5 ounce aged rum, lime juice, simple syrup, bitters, mint leaves, and chilled brut champagne. That's an interesting twist. A bit of champagne on top. I don't have any champagne, so I can't do that. Sorry, Belinda. Just before we started with, McDonald's are notorious for putting too much ice in the soft drinks. Because I was talking about cocktails, so initially you go, McDonald's are notorious for tricking kids into drinking cocktails and getting them drunk. Oh, that's it. So there's stuff that I don't have, like green chartreuse. This one's called a Harrington, which is vodka, green chartreuse, and Cointreau. I have vodka and Cointreau. I don't have green chartreuse. I think green chartreuse is not completely removed from absinthe. This one, the Malecon, a suave London-born cocktail. white rum, lime juice, ruby port, sherry, superfine sugar, and bitters. It's all fun. And I've narrowed it down to, I tend to make the same couple of cocktails, which is possibly lack of adventure. I've tried a lot. Like Mrs. Angry is a bit of a gin drinker. She likes a South Side. A South Side is gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, and mint leaves. So Mrs. Angry is quite fond of a South Side. It's kind of like it's a traditional absinthe cocktail, absinthe anisette, whatever the heck that is, and bitters, and then with chilled water or lemonade, club soda. Or this is the absolute classic way the real purist wankers drink absinthe. You have absinthe, sugar cubes, chilled water, and it's up to you how much water. But you get this whole machine, this whole apparatus that will drip water down. Like you put the absinthe in the cup and then you drip the water into it. And yeah, if you're really traditional, you drip it through a sugar cube. And yes, you can't just make it. You can just go, okay, I'm going to have absinthe, the sweetener if you want it, sugar cube or simple syrup, and then just pour in however much water you want. Like I said, you can get these huge elaborate machines. You get a special sort of slotted spoon that you sit the sugar cube on, and this big apparatus that drips water through the sugar cube. It's full on. Talking about this with a friend on Facebook the other day, and she'd looked it up. Like these full on setups cost hundreds of dollars. So yes. See, this is the sort of thing I like. Stuff that's got, people think it's a bit weird that I like egg white in drinks, but I really do because it makes them all frothy. It's a gin fizz, a tropical gin fizz with gin and lime juice and syrup, either Orgeat, simple syrup, and they say pineapple gum syrup, which is like a really thick pineapple syrup, an egg white, and top it with chilled lemonade, club soda. See, that sounds pretty good. I don't have all those ingredients though, so I don't know that. Lions Buddy, you got into blue cocktail punch when you were 13. Oh, good God. Didn't realize it was alcohol and got a bit glassy-eyed by the end of the night. Yeah, my younger brother did that at my older sister's wedding. He was probably about 13, maybe 14, and was sort of stealing drinks off everyone's table and got really shit-faced and sick. Nobody, you're so smelly, you're going to smell up the room, so you're going to have a shower. Fair enough. A shower would probably be quite refreshing. I might even have one before bedtime. I almost never do. But I feel a bit oogie. Maybe I'll have a shower before bedtime. Who knows? Belinda, that's not a completely unreasonable thought that the food Macca's gives kids is as bad for their health as alcohol. Everything in moderation, of course. But yeah. Although it's pioneered by McDonald's Australia, is them trying to have an alternative like Happy Meals instead of being chicken nuggets or whatever. They actually have the option where it's fresh fruit or whatever. I don't think that ever took off. I don't think any kid goes to McDonald's for fruit. Just imagine kids going into McDonald's and the parent trying to encourage you, oh, the Happy Meal, will we get the sliced apple? And the kid going, will we fuck? I will walk the fuck out on this family if I don't get chicken nuggets and chips, okay? This is not negotiable. I don't negotiate with terrorists, okay? Don't fuck with me on this. Look, you just rewatched Super Size Me. I have never watched all of that. I've seen bits of it, and I know the outcome. Basically, for those who've got, because this was quite big. I don't know, was it 10 years ago? It was quite a while ago. This guy basically experimented on himself, because this is much more about American McDonald's than Australian McDonald's. American McDonald's had the supersize option, where it's like for a really small amount of money, they'll give you gargantuan servings of the drink and the chips and whatever. And the experiment, he said, was, I'm going to eat McDonald's for every meal for a month, and I'm never going to ask for the supersize option, but anytime they suggest it, I will always say yes, and I'll eat it. And he was quite a lean guy. I don't know if he classify as thin, Morgan Spurlock, but he was quite lean and had been quite lean his whole life. He'd never been fat, and he wondered what would happen. And he put on a lot of weight, felt like shit, and after the month was over, he found it really, really hard to lose the weight. He'd never been overweight his whole life. After a month, he was, and he found it really, really hard to lose the weight. I think it was about the halfway mark when the really negative health effects were starting to kick in. And he's going to the doctor for regular weigh-ins and stuff, and the doctor's telling him to stop it. Like, no, this is a really bad experiment. We already know the outcome. It's going to hurt your health. Stop it now. But he stuck with it for the month, and it was not a good experience for him. David, what do I think about Canada making weed legal? It's a good idea. There is no logical or medical reason for cannabis to be illegal. It is demonstrably less damaging to health than alcohol. Anyone who says otherwise is full of shit. And that's not to say it doesn't have health risks, because it has both physical and mental health risks. It absolutely does. They're just far less than alcohol. It's far less damaging than alcohol. That's a simple statement of fact. And anyone who says otherwise is full of shit. Also, anyone who says cannabis cures cancer and cannabis is a wonder drug and big pharma's holding back, they are also full of shit. And I've had lots of fights with people say, you know, I look forward to proper research, and because there are promising signs that some cannabinoids can be used in a variety of medical treatments and might be quite effective. But that's a world of difference between all these idiots infesting the internet going, cannabis cures cancer, which is such a dumb fucking statement to make, not least because there's no one thing that is cancer. There's a whole range of things that have some commonalities in how they damage our bodies, and we call them all cancers. It's basically certain things grow out of control in your bodies. Certain cells that are toxic to your body grow out of control and attack your body and fucking kill you. And some attack your lungs, some attack your blood, some attack your brain, some attack other organs, some attack your bones. They're all different. There's no one thing about them. So there's never going to be one treatment for cancer. Yes, we may get some effective relief from some cancers from particular cannabis concoctions, which would be nice if we did. David, you're saying CBD is antipsychotic. What is CD and who says it's antipsychotic? Because one thing that has been shown reasonably conclusively is people with a predisposition for mental illness, anxiety, and depression particularly, they are at high risk of having those conditions worsened by cannabis use. It's not absolutely black and white, but there is more than enough evidence to say that just, to be safe, people who either do have mental health issues or are at risk for them should steer clear of cannabis, because there's too high a risk that it'll make your mental health issues worse. And that goes right up to psychosis as well. So David, I think they should make nicotine vaping legal in Australia too, but it's an incredibly complex thing with all these different vested interests arguing different points. But even if, obviously, vaping nicotine has a whole truckload of health risks because nicotine's a poison and it's a carcinogen, but it's much lower than burning it in a cigarette. It's the act of burning in cigarettes that brings on the most severe risks. There's all sorts of stuff, like particularly in America and probably other parts of the world, not so much here because they can't advertise here, but tobacco companies have kind of seen vaping as the future, and they've been advertising it as a cool, hip thing to do, and they've been targeting young non-smokers because, surprise, surprise, tobacco companies are evil as fuck. Omega Leach, down in Tassie, you're getting thunderbolts and lightning. Is it very, very frightening, Galileo? Speaking of which, I think I'm going to go see Bohemian Rhapsody, the Queen biopic, this weekend. Oh, yeah. No, Lion Spider, the fact that your brother was a heavy cannabis user and was diagnosed schizophrenic, they're not necessarily directly related, but in his specific case, they're not necessarily directly related. But there is overwhelming evidence that people with schizophrenia or at risk of schizophrenia should very, very much avoid cannabis because it increases their risks quite significantly. And yes, I see, Catherine, I think Bohemian Rhapsody opens on Thursday, and I'm going to go see it for date night with Mrs. Angry on Saturday night. So at least people can't really give you spoilers for that movie because I know what happened with Queen. I'm just looking forward to how they tell their story. Yeah, so you know, it's got very mixed reviews, but I'm okay with mixed reviews. Yeah. Oh my God, it is Thursday, isn't it? I just said it opens on Thursday. That's today. It opened today. Yeah, my God, lost track of time. Oh my God, I've entered an alternate dimension where I don't know what day it is. Don't know what day it is. But yes, I've booked into gold class on Saturday night for an upmarket date with Mrs. Angry. This is why our normal dates are like a dinner and or movie. And at gold class, you can do both. You order them to bring you dinner into the movie, which is nice. So got that going for us. I'm just trying to decide whether I should make a cocktail. There's all, you see all my bottles. Let's try and make a lot of different cocktails. But there, if you're a serious cocktail maker, you have to have about 4 times more different beverages than that. Like, you know, okay, I got vermouth specifically because a lot of the cocktails had vermouth in it. But you know, Benedictine, I don't have Benedictine. Campari, I don't have Campari. Maybe I should because it's in a lot of things. Or you get those Italian bitter liqueurs, Campari and what's the other one? Someone will know. Let's see. See, you get all these weird ones. It says Applejack, which is some sort of apple alcohol. Calvados. What the hell is Calvados? That's in a couple of these. Okay, so Applejack is an apple brandy, apparently. There you go. And because a lot of these have maraschino liqueur, which is cherry liqueur. So I got, even though I'm not really into cherry, somewhere up there is cherry hearing, one of the famous cherry liqueurs, because it's in so many of these cocktails. Like this one, Remember the Main, rye whiskey, vermouth, cherry hearing, and absinthe. I mean, that sounds good. Maybe I should make that. Remember the Main, which was Battleship. With the little thing they say here. Watch this one when out under the moon in a desert overnight camp, riding camels out across the vast dunes, or strolling in the moonlight around the Sphinx with some congenial young woman companion. Ooh. The moonlight, the Sphinx, the desert night, and an agreeable companion. A typical cast of characters in a passage by mid-20th century journalist and roving bon vivant Charles H. Baker Jr. That Baker wove drinks into these narratives, this one in the above paragraph, bizarre but not without its charms, mix of gin, apricot brandy, and absinthe, dubbed the Sahara Glowing Heart Cocktail. There you go. But where's this one? I was thinking, like, they're talking about this guy Baker who promoted all these drinks, and he goes, Baker's recipes typically suffer one major drawback. The drinks quite often suck. That is a drawback. But tinkering of bartenders such as Eric Adkins in San Francisco and the biographical research of St. John Frizzell have made a thing. So cocktails related by Baker often need some help. Be sure to I thought there was a bit of a story about Remember the Main in here. Anyway, I don't see it. Because the Main was a battleship that sank. All right, I'm going to make a Remember the Main. I've got rye whiskey, I've got vermouth, I've got cherry hearing, and I've got absinthe. So I need to get my glass and some ice. So we'll do some cocktail making while I'm here. All right. Ah, okay. I'll get my glass from up here. Cocktail shaker. Okay. My glass, my cocktail shaker. Let's say I was going to make. Remember the Main. Vermouth and cherry. Okay. And absinthe. Okay. Rye whiskey. A little bit of rye whiskey left. Cherry. Vermouth. Cinzano. It's a very 70s drink in Australia, Cinzano. But yeah, it's a good vermouth for cocktails. And my absinthe. Okay. Oh, and I want a big block of ice for my drink. A big block of ice. Okay, big block of ice. On some shaking ice, I think. I like to have ice in the cocktail shaker. Okay, so. Oh, I need my strainer. One more thing. Where is it? Oh, where is it? Here it is. Okay. We're all good. Okay, so let's make a drink. Look, you like the live stream. The live streams are fun. Mixing it up with live streams and pre-recorded videos keeps things interesting, I think, because they're quite different. Oh my God, Belinda, I actually saw that Tom Cruise, Brian Brown movie Cocktail in full for the first time not that long ago. And I'll tell you this, the people who made that movie really hate women. Like every female character in the movie is a bitch who wants to, oh man, I just did the wrong thing. Jesus. I was doing that. Poured it in my drink, not in the cocktail shaker. That's okay. We'll just pour that into the cocktail shaker. We'll be fine. Cherry. A little bit of cherry. I might actually top this. I've got a little bit of lemonade there. I'm going to shake the lemonade, obviously. That would be a bad idea. And a little bit of absinthe. I'll just measure it so it doesn't get out of control. This absinthe is very strong and has a very strong flavour. It's going to be quite a pink drink, I think. We'll see. I haven't made this one in a little while. I'm sure I've made it, but just not for a while. So, yes, Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Not doing any of the throwing things. Safa, hey, how you doing? Yes, live streams are interactive. The most famous Melbourne laneway with the street art wall paintings is Hosier Lane, but there are lots. But Hosier Lane is the most famous one. Okay, that's suitably shaken and chilled. Professional cocktails, give me a little strainer here. So, ooh, it's a very rich colour. The cherry liqueur has given it a very rich colour. Look at that. It's slightly more, in real life, like I'm just looking, it's a bit washed out on the screen. In real life, it's a slightly sort of richer burgundy sort of colour. Oh, it smells good. Ooh, that's got a bit of zing in it. Oh, see, this one with the good cocktails, other people have sort of gone to the trouble of finding the balance of flavors. You get, with a good cocktail like that, you get 3 or 4 flavors in a single mouthful, and all sort of changes as it goes down. That's the mark of a good cocktail, when you get multiple flavors. Shitty cocktail is one that just tastes like cordial. Yeah. So if you think you stumbled on a line, well, in the city, there's Hosier Lane's the most famous. There's AC/DC Lane as well. Slightly lesser known, there's Croft Alley, and there are a couple of others just in the CBD. But if you go just 1 or 2 suburbs out, there's a whole bunch of suburbs that have enormous amount. I think there's North Melbourne has some. Richmond has a lot. Basically, any suburb, like 1 or 2 suburbs out of the city, is probably going to have an area where there's street art. Footscray has some good street art in areas. There's basically a big part of Melbourne. You know, you get a lot of shit and a lot of scrolls and a lot of tagging, but you also get some really good quality stuff. So, interestingly, just today I was listening to the latest Blind Boy podcast, which I've mentioned before, because I'm considering doing a podcast with AngryAussie and others. And so I've been listening to podcasts, because I never used to listen to podcasts. So I've been listening to popular podcasts I've heard people mention, just to get a vibe of what all the people do. And honestly, the only one I really like is the Blind Boy podcast. Blind Boy is half of a musical comedy act called the Rubber Bandits. He's Irish. And he has it's the stereotype to say, "Oh, the Irish accent is lovely and warm." It is. People tend to call his podcast is like a hug. He's sort of warm, intimate voice. You feel like you're getting a hug from the podcast. He's also very funny, astonishingly well read. Like, he's spooky intelligent and has read so much. History, science, sociology, psychology, and politics. He's heavily into politics as well. I listened to maybe the first half of the podcast. His most recent one came out today or yesterday. He does it weekly, and he was talking about cocktails and what he loves about cocktails. He's got into. He says it's a mindful way of drinking alcohol. Like, if you're drinking pints, cans, it's all just about drinking it as fast as you can and getting shit-faced, but to get value out of a cocktail, because cocktails are quite expensive if you buy them in bars. Very few people like just neck a cocktail. You have to be a bit of an animal to do that, quite honestly. But he calls it a mindful form of drinking alcohol, because you'll take your time, maybe up to half an hour, just having little sips and going, and just really feeling the flavors of the cocktail in your mouth and going down your throat. Now, interestingly, he said he's into the tiki cocktails. His favorites is like the zombie, which honestly, when he said that, those are such dorky cocktails to be into. Like, oh my God, I'm a cocktail snob. And I am. I'm sure there's a section on tiki in here. Let me have a look. Tuxedos. Oh wait, I'll just go with the index. Will tell me where tiki is. 185. Oh, right at the end. That's a little story on tiki, is it? That's not right. That isn't right at all. 29, tiki mug. What are we talking about? Okay, because tiki is the sort of island stuff, beach, a very American thing. Anyway, like I'll look up a zombie. 160. Okay, yeah, okay, I found the tiki section. So the famous tiki cocktails are the Mai Tai and the zombie. It's got some less well-knowns in here. The Donga punch, that sounds very Australian, doesn't it? The Donga. It's a Donga punch. That's rum Don's mix, which is grapefruit juice and cinnamon syrup, okay, and lime juice. It's also got the Swizzle, the 2070 Swizzle, which is rum and sugar syrup and honey syrup and allspice liqueur, absinthe, bitters, and nutmeg. Or a test pilot, which is rum, Jamaican rum, white rum, Cointreau, Falernum, which I'm not even sure what that is, lime juice, bitters, absinthe, drops of absinthe, or 3 dots and a dash. That's rum, and honey syrup, and lime juice, and orange juice, and bitters, and falernum, and allspice. Here it is. This is zombie. You start to guess why it's called the zombie, because it will turn you into one. A zombie is all the rums, basically. Zombie is all the rums. So this recipe is apparently from 1934. As dark Jamaican rum, white rum, 151 proof Demerara rum, so that's 75% alcohol rum, falernum, the Don's mix, lime juice, bitters, drops of absinthe, grenadine over ice. There's another thing with tiki cocktails, tend to be over a lot of ice, over crushed ice. I'm sure he's got, I keep seeing this thing, falernum. I'm sure he's got a description of what that actually is. 22. Explain to me, what is falernum? See page 125. Okay. It's like, do you ever do that thing in school where you'd write stuff like, look at page 1. Falernum is a citrus spice combo. Okay. So falernum is a syrup which is often likely alcoholic, Caribbean, and it goes well in island-style punches and swizzles like tiki drinks. Falernum number 10 on page 186. Okay, so here's a recipe for making your own falernum, which is another fun thing in here. It tells you how to make syrups and whatnot. How to make falernum. Okay. So you use rum, overproof rum, the zest of 9 limes, 40 whole cloves, 1.5 ounces of chopped ginger, 1 ounce of blanched slivered almonds, 14 ounces of rich simple syrup, and 4.5 ounces of fresh lime juice. You got to toast the almonds, soak them in the rum with all the spices and lime zest for 24 hours, and then strain it like through a cheesecloth and add the syrup and lime juice. There you go. That's what Verlernen is. It's a sort of rum thing again. Wow, Lines Buddy, you saw a version of the zombie that's 4 rums and 3 whiskeys. Well, that's clearly not traditional. 4 rums is traditional. I still have to make the a lot. We were making this joke on one of the live streams, make a cocktail that has a little bit of all that, all the disturbing number of alcohols. I have that, and just call it the a lot. And people say, what alcohol is in that cocktail? A lot of alcohol is in that cocktail. Might do it tomorrow. Might make a video of yeah, might make a video of doing the a lot cocktail. Your kid just said out of the blue, cheese is just a loaf of milk. Spot on. That kid has a future. That shows insight. That is really a very accurate insight. Cheese is just a loaf of milk, but it's tasty, tasty loaf of milk. I'm such a cheese junkie. That's why I could never be vegan. I don't want to give up cheese. I could probably give up meat. I don't want to give up meat, but I think I could probably manage it. But the idea of giving up dairy, I'm just like, no, dude, no cheese. No, that cannot happen. And milk too. Not that I drink that much milk, but milk's an ingredient in so many things. Luke, how drunk have I got on live stream? Oh, if you want, it's not a live stream, but it's a live recorded video. Remember when Aidsy and I used to do commentary tracks for movies? We'd watch a movie and do a commentary track. So the idea was you'd watch along with us and hear our commentary track. There's one, because we did the entire Harry Potter series, and there was one where we did the Harry Potter drinking game. We had drinks in front of it might have just been cider. I don't remember what it was we were drinking. And we played the Harry Potter drinking game. And that was namely, whenever anyone said Harry Potter, you had to have a drink. Not if they said Harry, not if they said Potter, not if they were just talking to Harry, but when someone said the words Harry Potter, you had to have a drink. You get really drunk if you do that, because they say that a lot. If I can find Harry Potter drinking, I forget which of the movies it was. Of course, because those movies are relatively long. Yeah, we got pretty drunk. It was the Goblet of Fire. That's right. My God, that was 6.5 years ago. I continually get weirded out by how much time I've been on YouTube. So 6.5 years ago, we did the Drunken Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and because that's over 2 hours long, so we were well scuttered by the end of that movie. I mean, we're still coherent, but there's a thing, yeah. Line Spider, you say there's a vegan cheese, but what you mean is there's a vegan rubber that they call cheese, okay? I'm a serious cheese aficionado, and I'm not saying if I was supreme ruler, I would indulge in capital punishment too frivolously, but I'd probably kill you for talking about vegan cheese, honestly, or at the very least, 20 years hard labor, honestly. Suffer Revenge of the Sith is 12 years old. Yes, well, and it's designed to appeal to 12-year-olds. I've got so many cheeses in this house. Tell you who has good cheeses? Costco. Like, Costco has a reputation for just being cheap shit, but they have really good quality foods there. And their cheeses, they have some of the best cheeses, Australian and European. I've got from... there's an English cheddar called Wookiee Hole. That's just a straight cheddar, and it's like the best cheddar I have ever tasted. That's just straight cheddar with no frills. It's great. As Mega Leach, hard labour in the cheese mines. The Wookie Hole, they store the cheese in underground mines. You would work in the, if you tried to give me vegan cheese, you would be sent to hard labour in the Wookie Hole cheese mines. So there's that one. The Wookie Hole cheddar is really good. They also have this truffle cheddar, which I didn't think I'd like, and I sort of got on a whim. And it's fucking great. It's a bit gimmicky, but it's really good. And they have another one called champagne cheddar, which again, I avoided for ages because I thought it seemed really gimmicky, but it's really nice. And I get this shredded cheese they have there. It's an American cheese. They call it Mexican shredded cheese. It's like 4 different sorts of American cheeses in it. So I make a joke sometimes, like I often get a pizza from the supermarket, and they're usually kind of shit with the toppings. So I'll often get like a cheese pizza, a margarita pizza from the supermarket freezer, and then I'll add stuff to it, you know, some toppings and some extra cheese. I often get when they have these 4 cheese pizzas in the supermarket. So I'll often get a 4 cheese pizza, and you can get like mixed shredded cheese from the supermarkets here, and they'll have 3 or 4 sorts of cheese in it, like Parmesan, cheddar, mozzarella, maybe Romano. There's a few 4 cheese things there, and there's this one from Costco that's 4 cheeses. So technically, I make a 12 cheese pizza. It's like something like 3 sorts of mozzarella and 3 sorts of Parmesan, and the rest is variation, and there'll be a blue cheese, and the rest is variations on cheddar. So yeah, I technically make a 12 cheese pizza, which, you know, it's pretty fucking good. And I don't put like the truffle cheddar or the champagne cheddar on a pizza, although I don't know what that'd be like. Maybe I should try it. I've literally never tried it on a pizza. I normally either just have it as a cheese plate or maybe in a sandwich. Maybe I should try it on a pizza. Huh. Oh, wow. See, you got the Blu-ray of the old BBC Hitchhiker's Guide, and it's great. I loved that show. I watched it so much. I also, obviously, I read the books, the Hitchhiker's books. I still have the vinyl of the radio plays, the BBC radio plays of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I think I had a book of the scripts for the Hitchhiker's Guide radio plays as well. I don't know if I had that or if I just borrowed it, read it at one point. Oh, no Costco on the beach, Safa. That's a bit rough. Yes, Luke, Homer Simpson eating 54 slices of American cheese. That American cheese, that bright orange shit is fucking hot. That's horrific. So, mind you, you do get some extremely high quality cheeses from places like Wisconsin in the US, but at the same time, the mainstream cheese that they sell in supermarkets is this fucking nightmarish orange color. Oh, well, what the fuck? Like, you know, proper cheddar is between white and light yellow, and somehow they've come up with like fucking fluorescent orange cheese. What the fuck is wrong with them? Megaleech, your favorite blue cheese is Stilton. I probably don't have a favorite blue cheese. I was very surprised when it got to the stage that I liked blue cheeses, because I never thought I would, but I do. I really enjoy blue cheese. Probably Stilton. Like, I know some of them are like sealed and it smells like a garbage dump when you cut them. Same as really strong Parmesan, like the Gran Padano stuff. I used to think that was too full on. Like those really full-on Parmesans that smell like vomit, quite honestly. But, oh, my God, I am so into hardcore Parmesan now. Just little slices of that really extreme Italian Parmesan, the Gran Padano. That you get those huge wheels of it. That stuff's awesome. But yeah, it's weird because you have the bacterial cultures in cheese, which result in some strange cheeses, some strange smells. Many of them smell like garbage. Oh, yes, Megaleech, I can believe there's some that smell like cow pats. Yeah, but yeah, it's a bit of a taste sensation when you get into the serious cheeses. I've learned that they're building Costco, Ipswich, and Brisbane. I think they're up to 4 or maybe even 5 Costcos in Melbourne now, because we've got so many far-flung suburbs. So I go to Costco on the semi-regular to get the giant bottles of booze. That's the giant vodka bottle there, I think. I used my giant bottle of bourbon. It's in these ones now. I flavour it. There's a cinnamon bourbon and a salted caramel bourbon there. No arguing that, Charlie. Blue vein cheese smells like feet. Somewhere between feet and vomit, basically. And it smells like feet for the reason it's got that friggin' culture. So for where's a Costco in Melbourne? There's one sort of in Docklands. There's one at Moorabbin. That's the closest one to me. It's just past the Moorabbin airport, and there's like a big factory outlet mall there as well. Not in the same place, but in the same area. I know there are more. Those are the ones. Oh, there's another one I've been to. So look, where is Costco? In Melbourne. Yeah, so there's Docklands, Moorabbin, and Ringwood. Is there really only 3? Locations of Costco in Australia. New South Wales. There's Auburn. No. Victoria. How many are in Victoria? Docklands. Yeah, no, there are 4 in Melbourne. I thought there was at least 4. Docklands, Epping, Ringwood, and Moorabbin. And Sydney or New South Wales has them in Auburn, Crossroads, and Marsden Park. I don't even know where Crossroads is. What is Crossroads? Oh, Kazula. Okay. I know where that is. And Marsden Park. Yeah. So, yes, Costco. I love it for the cheese and the booze. That's a real worry, isn't it? Oh, Charlie, you're absolutely right. Blue vein is particularly good with a fruit paste. Quince is a popular one. Blue vein and quince paste sounds super weird, but is a good one. But yeah, any sort of fruit paste with blue vein is super good. Oh my God, Megaleech, your wife likes your blue vein, but doesn't like cheese on it. Yes. Safa, yes, you need a membership to go to Costco. That is their rule. So you have to go there at least semi-regularly for it to be worthwhile. And you also have to want a lot of something because they tend to sell really big things like from double to 4 times bigger than the packaging you'd normally get at a supermarket. So you have to want a lot of something for Costco to be worth it. I am going to dessert wine and blue cheese. Oh, a nice port. I haven't done it, but a nice port with some blue cheese would probably be a very refined treat. I like the sound of that. You know, but it's not all booze and cheese at Costco. You can buy coffins too. I fucking fair pissed myself the first time I realized they were selling coffins at Costco. I was like, they really do have everything. That's really weird. Safa, I don't actually remember how much the membership is. Sure, if you look it up on the website, I'm sure they'll tell that. And there are different sorts of membership as well, I think. You used to have to own a business, like have an ABN to have a Costco membership, but they changed it somewhat, and there's just an ordinary person's membership now, which is more expensive, not by a huge amount, but I think the non-business membership is more expensive than a business one. Now I want to know, membership. Costco membership. What does it cost to be a Costco member? Membership at Costco. Okay. So it appears, oh yeah, there's not much difference. $55 for business, or $60 for just an ordinary person. An ordinary person. Oh, I think they have a wholesale one as well. But I think, yeah, if you've got a business one, you can get some stuff that the people on the normal one can't get, and you can actually buy stuff to legally be able to resell it if you have a business membership. And for a business membership, you have to have an ABN, which I have because I'm a contractor. Yeah, that's a little bonus. Oh, Belinda, such big packets of toilet paper. Such big packets of toilet paper. Hundreds of rolls. That's not hundreds of rolls. Dozens of rolls, though. Huge things of toilet paper. So it is cheaper than going to a supermarket, apart from the, like the big specials they have at supermarkets. Costco stuff tends to be, say, about 2/3 the cost of stuff at the supermarket, with a couple of big disclaimers. They don't have all the products that supermarkets have, and you normally have to buy huge packages of things, and that may not be practical for you. If you're not going to consume all of the huge packet, you're not getting any service. And even like frozen stuff, I don't get much frozen stuff from Costco because the individual bags of frozen stuff are fucking huge, and I don't have room in the freezer for them. Like, I can get 1 or 2 frozen things from Costco because the packages are fucking huge. Yeah, Costco is, yes, cheaper than supermarkets, but there are a few caveats in there. It has to suit you, and it won't suit everyone. Look at that. I finished my Remember the Main. See, I remembered, Megalich. That probably means it's bedtime, a little bit after 10 o'clock. Look, as per usual, you've all been wonderful company. I've had a jolly good time, even if we got off to a super depressing start talking about how humanity is doomed. But hey, it's very hard to avoid that realization that humanity is doomed. So I'm going to bid you all farewell. Frank, you've got in just before I left. Oh man, a tourist lost 20 quid and you picked it up. Nice. Nice. Got yourself a splurge lunch. Excellent. I am literally just heading off to Betty Bye-Byes. So I'm glad I caught you for 5 seconds before I left, Frank. So I've got to try and make a video tomorrow. So if you follow me on the socials, send me suggestions for things to do on videos, because I have no idea what I'm going to do yet. I'll have to decide that tomorrow. Luke, you think that was the first full stream? Legend. Okay, thank you everyone for dropping by. I hope you all look after yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. But until such time, I bid you fine people adieu. See you again, but bye for now. And I just